morning. Today we are sowing our hollyhocks. Now these are special first year flowering hollyhocks, so they're completely different to the usual varieties that you buy as biennials. Great thing about these hollyhocks, and you'll recognise this picture, I'm going to play a video for you in a second where I've sown these last spring and then grew them in a container because they're also a dwarf variety. So you can put them at the fronts of your beds and borders, you can put them in a patio container, and again you're going to get blooms this year. Isn't that fantastic?
Now this is a hollyhock, but it's not any hollyhock. You can see it's compact, it's growing in a container, and it's also not biennial, which means I sowed this in the spring and then just a few months later it's flowering. Look at all those buds. I can't wait to show you more.
Wondering about standard hollyhocks and if you can join in and grow those now. You can, however they're going to take up valuable greenhouse space when they don't need to, and they won't bloom until next year anyway, so you might as well sow them in the summer when the greenhouse will be empty and you won't be needing it for anything. The other problem is if you sow biennials now, they're going to need a space in the garden by June, so if you've got the biennial variety, hang on to it for now. But if you've got our special this year flowering hollyhocks, then go and grab your seeds. Here we have our hollyhock seed. Now you can do, if you want to, use the 40 cell trays. However, the seedlings are satisfyingly quite big once they get going. So I'm going to put mine in a 24 cell. I don't use these cells very often, but they are ideal for the hollyhocks, and also you've got almost exactly the right amount of cells for the seeds that you have. Now hollyhock seeds don't need light for germination, so we are going to dib a little hole. You can either do this or sow the seed on the surface of the compost and then cover it over, but I'm just going to simply drop the seeds in. It's nice to have something that's easy to manage, isn't it? Whoops, grab that one back. Now you can either just gently cover them over, or if you give them a water, because they're in the hole, they won't get washed away, and that will also settle the compost. Whatever is best for you. There we go. Don't forget your label, and then just a clear propagator lid over the top to keep the environment nice and warm and humid. Seedlings need a nice warm germination period, 20 to 22 degrees, so you can put them in your greenhouse to see what the weather's like. You can use a heat mat, or if you haven't got any equipment, then just take them into the house for germination. Fast forward 5 days and you can see that germination is now starting to occur. Now there's a good chance that all the seeds have now germinated, even though you can't see them. So I'm going to leave them down in the greenhouse at least during the day. Now I've done a second batch for you here where I've started the seeds on the soil surface. They don't mind if they're on the soil surface or if they're buried beneath, they will germinate anyway, but at least this way you can see, look, we've got 100% germination. Now you do need to be careful when sowing seeds on the soil surface, because these tender little seedlings can very easily dry out in the greenhouse or in the home. If you take the lid off and you're indoors, the central heating can dry out the compost. So my number one job to do straight away is to now tuck these in. I just wanted to be able to show you that it's all going on, even though you can't see it yet. I'm going to tuck them in with a top dressing of compost, and now I know they're all awake. I'm going to leave them in the greenhouse, lid on tonight, lid off during the day. just going to use a sieve because it's extra gentle. There we go, nicely tucked in. I don't want to rush starting our hollyhocks. Now, the middle of March, around the 18th of March, is when the light levels return to 12 hours for me. So any time around that time will be perfect. If you sow them too early, what will happen is the low light levels will cause the seedlings to elongate. You need the high light levels to get good vegetative growth. And it's only when the light levels then start to decrease again that flowering is triggered. A quick fast forward so that you can see what the plants will look like once their true leaves come through. Just like snapdragons, hollyhocks can suffer from a condition called rust. Now, I tend to find that happens on the older plants, which is why I sow fresh snapdragons every single year. And with this variety of hollyhock, the risk is much reduced because the plant's going to be young. We're going to sow it, grow it, plant it, and it's going to flower in a matter of months. So that will help protect it from rust. But in the meantime, when you do your watering, just try not to get any water on the foliage. Just water the soil directly with your little watering can. It's June and these are the hollyhocks ready for planting out. Aren't they cute? Here I've got a lovely crate of hollyhocks. Now hollyhocks usually are biennials, but not these. These will flower for you in the first year. I started the seeds this spring. Look how big they've got already. And they are perfect for patio pots, so they're not nearly as tall as your traditional varieties. So I'm planting up my favourite 60cm container, and I will show you later on this summer what they'll look like. There we go, look at those roots. Really keen now to get into a bit more space. Their final planting positions. There we go, and in case you're interested, I put 14 plants in this pot. Of the information for growing these very special hollyhocks is also covered in your spring grow along handbook, and then if you turn to the checklist section, don't forget that you've got that. So if you just want to have a quick check on anything, then that information is there for you in a table.